If she asks you about your job and really insist to a point whereby she really want to understand and know how much you usually make in terms of your income, and you guys, you're not yet married, but you have plans. Let's say you are dating and you have plans to one day getting yourself into a marriage and being a companion to each other. And then after 4, 5, 6, 7 years or even 10 years, you come to us and tell us, hey, you know what, she left me once I lost my job, and you act surprisingly. It's like you never heard all the signs. Let me tell you one thing. These guys, or whenever they ask you the question related to finance, it's a very sensitive question that you're supposed to sit down, internalize exactly what it means. And on this video, I'm going to share with you exactly what does that mean, so that at least whenever you get to be asked this question, you can be able to see whether this question is coming genuinely from an individual who is interested on how the future will be between the two of you, or the individual is being directed or is being, or what we call it, inspired by the monetary aspect or the material thing and that kind of a thing. Because you know what, some of these questions actually function or act as a red flag that majority of people tend to ignore, that usually comes to be a big problem in the future in the marriage. Because I always say this, and this is the disclaimer on this video, I am not discouraging people to discuss about the financial matters. They are very sensitive and important issues. People should discuss about those things before they get married, and whenever they're in the marriage, they should discuss that specific thing. But there is a way you can ask questions that tells much about what you have in plan for the other person, and that one is what I'm going to discuss with you. So sit down. What you need to do is just relax. And by the way, I usually post a video each and every day, and this is how we want to do so that you don't miss any of good video. Just down below there on your right, there is a button in black. It is written subscribe. Hit that magic button, then like this video. Guess what happens once you do that? And by the way, it is free, doesn't cost you anything, only 1 second, and I bet you get for that 1 second. All right, so let's get into today's business. Now, if she asks you your job, really insist, goes to a further step of asking you how much you make in terms of your income and such kind of a thing. There are two ways on actually looking at this question. Number one, let's start with the bad news first. All right, let's start with the bad news. Now, the bad news is this. When they ask this question, one thing that you're supposed to understand when it comes to ladies, they love to get themselves into a person who knows exactly what they are doing. And in the process, she may be another partner or other type of an individual whereby they ask this question because what they are interested on or in is how much you make, and see whether you can be able to fund, or what we call, you can finance their lifestyle. Maybe they have an X type of a lifestyle. So now they're looking forward to be like, okay, fine. Right now, as I see, wherever I am as a lady, I usually function on a 60,000, say, terms of an income. So can this individual manage to handle me in terms of that amount of money? If the question is yes, based on what you tell them, based on your income, then that question means this individual might actually go ahead and be with you. Now, let's say, for God's sake, or for God forbid, what if it happens that you lose your job and anything happens along the way, and now you do not have your 60,000? Then it means, if really her being funded that life of 60K, it matters a lot to her, then it means that she doesn't have any business of being with you. Then she has to look for alternatives to be able to cater for that lifestyle that she has. One thing that you're supposed to understand is this: whenever they ask this question, it's a very sensitive matter, and they usually test the waters to see how far can you stretch. Can you be able to go out there and share about the income and that kind of a thing? And if you can remember very well, the last time I talked, there's something that you're not supposed to discuss, no matter with who, when it comes to your next move, when it comes to your finances and such kind of a thing. And by the way, if you do not know, if there is a big thing that usually affects the marriages and that kind of a thing, is usually the finance. If you cannot be able to handle this matter in a very professional way, because let me tell you one thing, when it comes to finance and relationship or marriages, you have to handle it using the brain, not the heart. It's not a matter of feeling, it's a matter of, people relate to, oh, you're supposed to reveal your earnings, your bank accounts, your pins, and whatever, your credit card, whatever, just because you love this individual. So now you're pulling the matters of the heart and you're mixing with the matters of the brain, and those two things cannot be able to mix together. But there is a way you can handle this issue. So let's not digress. Let's go back to where we are talking about. So if they ask this question with a negative motive, them actually testing your water and see exactly how much are you making and can you be able to handle them. At that particular point, they're arguing from the point of selfish interest, meaning, is this individual able to handle me? Is this individual able to actually go ahead and be able to cater for all my needs that I do have, or I do not have them but I prospect, and these are the things that I usually admire. These are the things that I would love to get into. But one thing, there is no problem with anybody being selfish and actually making sure that they have desires that they would love to achieve in future. But the problem comes in when you do not even count yourself in the progress of making that specific thing. The most amazing thing when it comes to companionship is this: if you love to have a car in the future and then you get yourself married someone, then you're supposed to actually, okay, fine, this is the thing that I would love to get. This guy does this and this. Now, how will I be able to help this individual? How will I be able to be a helpful or an important person in this journey, in this relating one ship, so that at least we, as much as I will achieve what I want, now I'll help him achieve also what they want. When you argue from that point of life, then that's an amazing thing. But when you argue from the point of, this is what I love, this is what I'd love to be catered for, this is what I would love my life to live on or to live in, and that kind of a thing, and then the question is, how much do you make per month? And then you tell somebody, or they ask you, what is your job? But then you tell them, I'm a mason. Like, I do masonry work. I just construct and I do things out there. And then they kind of, wow, I don't think masonry can be able to actually handle me in terms of material. Of course, they cannot tell you this, but there are some others who are actually open up and they can tell you, hey, you know what? I cannot be able to do exactly that. But if they feel like, okay, fine, whatever amount of money that you usually earn can actually handle me, then that's an amazing thing. Now you can be able to move along together. So the most important thing is this: get to understand what they ask. Now, on the good news, if they ask this kind of a question and then they ask you, how much do you earn and what is your job? And then you tell them, at that particular point, there might be a reason, a good reason as to why they're asking this. They would like to know, fine, you're telling me that you earn 30,000 at the end of the month. And maybe perhaps you've been working for the last 2 years now. How much have you saved? How much or where have you invested? And have you invested in the first place? If the question is a no, then to them that functions as a red flag. They ask themselves like, okay, fine, this guy has been in poly for the last 2 years. He's single. He doesn't have a lot of responsibilities. Like, he doesn't pay school fees and such kind of a thing. It's only rent, the clothing, the food, and such kind of a thing. So where and how have you invested? Where, and if you have not invested, then where is the money? Do you have the money? So from that point, they're trying to deduce the understanding of, do you know how to budget yourself? Do you know how to plan yourself? If you cannot be able to plan yourself when you're single, when you do not have much of the responsibilities on top of your head, then what magic will happen when now you have the wife on board, the kids on board, and more of the responsibilities on board, and tell you that how you'll be able to handle the thing? That's the question. Because one of the mistakes that people do is to presume. There is this sort of a stereotypical understanding that, hey, by default of me getting married, I'll be more responsible. I'll be more. So, what makes you feel like once you get married, you'd be more responsible? It's like changing the forest, but the monkey still remains the same. What you're supposed to understand is this: be very careful how you use your money and how they ask this question, because from that particular point, you can be able to tell whether they're asking this question from a genuine perspective or they're asking this question from a selfish perspective. If they ask you from a genuine perspective, they just want to understand exactly: do you know how to manage your money? Do you know how to invest? Do you even know what is to invest? And that kind of a thing. See, you earn your 40,000, and all the time, all of the things that you do is to go out there with your friends, having fun and that kind of a thing. And I'm not saying having fun is not a bad thing, but having uncontrolled fun, that's where the problem kicks in. Like, you get your 40,000 in one weekend, you just squandered over 15,000. The next weekend, you squander another 15,000. By the time you're clicking the second week of whatever, now you're thinking of getting yourself an advance. And if not an advance, then if you cannot be able to get from your job, you're thinking on where you can be able to get a debt just to, kick up, or rather, be able to cater all those things that you usually have there. So this question actually is a double-edged sword. You have to understand where this question is coming from. Is this question being asked from a perspective of this individual just want to understand me, so that at least by the time they drop the flag and they say, hey, you know what, I'm all in into this, so that they do not get confused themselves into getting the marriage with you. Or number two, they're asking this question from a selfish perspective, and you can get yourself into problems. So you have to sit down, internalize, think, and actually ask yourself whether that question falls in either way. So that is it, guys. And you know what? If this is the first time you're seeing this face, my name is Joseph. Talk about money, talk about investment in anything related to exactly that. And guess what? You can actually have a conversation with me. I offer services pertaining to money. And if it is money and marriages, then I offer those consultation services. You can grab my number from the description of this video, give me a call, and for just a cup of coffee, we have a discussion and we get to see. And again, I offer services pertaining to businesses, investments, and such kind of a thing. Use the same number, call me. And if you're out there, perhaps you get your savings out there, you do not even know where you can invest your money, you're a bit confused, which is okay. I have booklets for you. I have business plans of various businesses. Like, cosmetic, hardware, butchery, daily, all those kind. I have over 50 of them, and you can get a copy of it. All right, it's only 280, and you can get to understand. If you've been admiring to get a salon, or if you've been admiring to get yourself a salon, an executive one, or whatever, an average one, you can be able to, see like, okay, this is what is expected of me. You see, when you have the true thing that is expected on you on the table, then you can be able to know what effort you need to apply so that at least you can be able to achieve exactly that. And guess what? For now, make sure that you comment down below telling me exactly what's your view on this video. And by the way, don't forget to like this video as well, and make sure that you subscribe to become a member of this channel, and let's move to the next level. For now, it's a goodbye and